All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we are digging into something, well, pretty huge. It's a declaration from a Japanese speaker who says he's got the answer not just for his own country, but for, the entire planet. And his whole vision kicks off with one heck of a statement. Wow. Yeah, you heard that right. He kicks things off by saying that the savior, 2,500 years after Buddha, is back. And he's in Japan. I mean, that is a powerful way to start, right? It sets the stage for something that's not just global, but maybe even cosmic. So, what's this all about? What does he actually mean by that? So, okay, this isn't just some abstract spiritual thought. He's presenting this as the foundation for a real mission. He's actually framing this whole thing as the launch of a new world religion, one that starts in Japan. And it has a huge job to do, basically to save the earth from itself. And the sheer scale of this claim, it's just mind-blowing. He's saying this isn't just the return of a savior like Buddha, but it's also the second coming of Christ. This new world religion, he claims it's the parent of Buddhism, Christianity, and Islam. The whole goal is to pull humanity back from the brink of disaster and start a whole new age of compassion. But look, to really get his solution, you've got to first understand the problem he's trying to solve, and it all starts at home in Japan. Okay, so when it comes to Japan, the speaker does not mince words. He is incredibly blunt. He actually uses this one powerful metaphor to paint a picture of a nation that he believes is in a deep crisis, a nation that's completely lost its way. And here it is. This one image really nails his whole critique. A jellyfish. Think about it. No backbone, no real structure, it just kind of drifts wherever the current takes it. He's asking, has Japan become like that? Just floating around with no foundation, no direction. And he's saying this isn't just some philosophical debate. No, this has real, tangible consequences. So let's look at the symptoms he's pointing to. He says this missing spiritual backbone is the reason for Japan's weak foreign policy, for its failure to lead on the world stage, even with all its economic power. He even calls the values being taught in schools pathetic. And all of this, he says, leads straight to real social problems, things like classroom collapse and bullying. So, what's the root cause? Where does this all come from? Well, according to him, it all boils down to this. A nation that doesn't respect religion is basically no different from a society of animals. It's just focused on getting through the day, food, survival, with zero higher purpose, no understanding of who we really are. And this is what leads him to what he calls the single most important truth that we've all forgotten. All right, now we're getting to the absolute heart of his entire worldview. And he's very clear on this. What he's about to say isn't a belief system, it's not an opinion. He presents it as an objective, undeniable fact, like a scientific law, about what it means to be human. And this is it. This is the whole shebang. The speaker's definition of a human being is this. We are spiritual beings, eternal souls, who are just temporarily living inside a physical body to have an experience here on Earth. For him, this isn't just some nice idea. It's the fundamental, non-negotiable truth of our existence. The problem? He says modern society teaches us the exact opposite. This really lays out the two opposing views, doesn't it? On one side, you have his truth, we're eternal spiritual beings. And on the other, you have what he calls the falsehood that's pushed by schools and elites, the idea that we're just material stuff, that life is all just a big accident. He's convinced that this materialist view is what turns a nation into a directionless, drifting jellyfish. And for him, trying to argue against our spiritual nature is just, well, it's completely absurd. And you got to hear this analogy. It really shows you how dead certain he is. He says that arguing against our spiritual nature is like saying hydrogen and oxygen combine to make oil. It just flies in the face of objective fact. See? For him, it's not a philosophical debate at all. It's like denying basic chemistry. And this conviction, he says, comes from decades of his own research. 100%. He is 100% certain. He says that after 30 years of his own research, he knows for a fact that the spiritual world and the afterlife are real. No question. He even says that every single one of us will find this out for ourselves when we die, and adds that he's never met a single soul in the afterlife who came back to tell him he was wrong. Okay, so if the problem is a jellyfish nation that's forgotten what it truly is, what's the fix? Well, the last part of his message lays out a really clear step-by-step plan to install that missing backbone. And here's the blueprint. It's built like a pyramid, At the very bottom, the foundation that holds everything up is religion. From that solid religious base, you build the pillars of morality. Then, that shared morality creates a strong national spirit. And it's only when you have all of that, in that order, that you get what he calls a strong nation with a real backbone. And just like that, he brings it right back to that jellyfish metaphor. His mission, when you boil it all down, is to basically perform spiritual surgery on his country, to install the spine that he's so sure is missing. But, and this is a big but, he points out that this message lands very differently in Japan than it does in other parts of the world. Just look at this contrast. It's pretty stark. He says that in places like Uganda and Nepal, his talks are actually aired on national TV. But back home in Japan, he says the media there thinks it's unethical to broadcast religious ideas. For him, this is a perfect example of the problem he's trying to fix, a society that's actively trying to keep religion at arm's length. Because ultimately, in his worldview, you can't be neutral. There's no middle ground. He argues that any society, any person, any media company that rejects the divine, as he calls it, is automatically, by default, siding with the demonic. And that choice, he warns, is pushing the entire nation toward a hellish world. And that really brings us to the end of this deep dive. Now, for the speaker, religion is the clear, undeniable answer. But the core question he's raising is something that challenges all of us, no matter what we believe. What is the core, the spiritual, moral, or philosophical glue that holds a country together? What truly is the backbone of a nation? It's a heck of a question to think about. Thanks for joining me.